Stothdel. Clatu, Verata, Elil, Dothdel, Nathrak, Nostro, Kriksa, Nikto, Vaz, Pejorative.
The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant. Thy mana withers.
Vaz, Dio, move.
The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant. Thy mana withers. Target misguided.
Move. Guard me.
The spell remains dormant.
Guard
The
me.
spell remains dormant. Thy mana withers.
Verata,
The spell remains dormant. Thy mana withers. Thy mana withers.
Kriksa, Dothdel, Kinkitsu, Inadan,
Thy creatures are besieged. The spell remains dormant. Thy creatures are besieged. Thy mana withers.
Guard me. One. Guard me.
The spell remains dormant. 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 Target misguided. The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant. Target misguided. Target misguided.
Nostro,
The spell remains dormant. 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 Target misguided.
move,
Already there.
Kriksa, move, attack,
Rock and roll.
move, attack,
Rock up.
Target misguided. Target misguided.
move, guard me,
Foes emerge ominously on the distant horizon. Target misguided.
defend the structure,
Already there.
The spell remains dormant. The enemy mage draws nigh to thy altar. The spell remains dormant.
Already there.
attack,
Rock and roll.
you are group 2,
Foes emerge ominously on the distant horizon. Thy creatures are besieged. The spell remains dormant. Target misguided.
Already there.
Kopa, Klaatu, move,
Already there.
group 2,
I'm ready.
attack,
Rock.
The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant.
Let's go.
The spell remains dormant. Thy building is being besieged.
you are group 2,
The spell remains dormant.
Already there.
The enemy mage draws nigh to thy altar. The spell remains dormant. The monolith lies in ruins, obliterated. Thy creatures are besieged.
Musa,
Thy creatures meet their doom. Thy sorcerer suffers relentless assault. The spell remains dormant. 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 The spell remains dormant.
Going.
guard, attack,
Target misguided. Thy creatures are besieged. Thy hunger for souls remains insatiable. Thy creatures meet their doom. The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant. Thy sorcerer suffers relentless assault.
you are group 2,
Thy sorcerer suffers relentless assault.
Attack.
The enemy mage draws nigh to thy altar. The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant. Thy creatures meet their doom. The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant.
Defend this area.
The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant.
Phalanx forming.
Thy hunger for souls remains insatiable. The spell remains dormant. The chosen target eludes thy grasp. Thy creatures meet their doom.
Attack. You are good too. Attack. You are good. Ninjutsu. You are good too. You are good too.
The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant. The enemy mage draws nigh to thy altar.
Guard me. Murata. Group 1. Guard me.
The spell remains dormant. The chosen target eludes thy grasp.
Attack. You are Group 1. Group 2. Guard. Defend this area. Attack. Attack that building. Attack that building.
The spell remains dormant.
Jordan. You are Group 2.
The spell remains dormant.
Attack that building.
The spell remains dormant. Target misguided.
Attack that building.
Thy creatures are besieged. Target misguided. Thy creatures meet their doom.
Attack that building.
Thy sorcerer suffers relentless assault. The enemy mage draws nigh to thy altar.
Move. Attack.
The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant. Thy mana withers.
Group 2. Move. Defend the structure. Defend the structure.
The spell remains dormant. 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 Thy creatures are besieged. Thy sacred altar is profaned. The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant. Thy creatures meet their doom. Thy sorcerer suffers relentless assault. Target misguided. The spell remains dormant.
Defend.
Thy sorcerer suffers relentless assault. The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant. Thy creatures meet their doom. Thy creatures are besieged. The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant. Target misguided.
Phalanx formation. Guard me. Guard me.
The spell remains dormant.
Phalanx.
The spell remains dormant. 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 Thy sorcerer suffers relentless assault. The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant. The spell remains dormant. Target misguided. Target misguided.
Phalanx formation. Guard me.
Thy creatures are besieged. Thy sacred altar is profaned. Target misguided. Target misguided.